So Bonsai has something called the predicted click value model. How did you work to achieve that, 200% ROAS?
So I'll explain a little bit of, I guess, the science behind it.
Yeah.
Russ has the best analogy ever about this, and I'll let you give it. So algorithmic buying is not a new thing. Many of the retailers, brands today are spending, your dollars are being allocated by an algorithm. Google Smart Bidding has been around. It does a good job. The kind of thing that a lot of times gets lost in the conversation of like, is this the right tool or whatever, is it's not that the algorithm at Google isn't effective or isn't intended, like can't drive results. Like I mentioned, I mean, not to be a fanboy about it, right? But I used to work at Google.
Yeah.
There's a lot of smart people at Google. That algorithm is great. The thing that it doesn't always have though, and that the thing that our data was able to power is Google's got a great bidder, but it can't always know what something's really worth, right? To Gab, only they have the data to know, hey, this customer is going to be very valuable. This phone is an incremental order. This other one is really, it's not really that valuable. They've already subscribed, right? That conversion you're seeing isn't that, it's not really adding that much to the bottom line, right? So predicted click value is taking all of that MTA first-party data environment and sort of flipping it on its head from a purpose perspective to say now we're not talking about this as a better measurement, but that same data actually is a great training set for an algorithm, for a machine learning model. And so what Bonsai was able to deploy was a model to predict value from not just like a conversion that they're getting, but really all of the traffic they're buying from Google. So then plugging that back into Google turned out to be a really good idea. So plugging that in, they saw results, and I love your analogy for how it works. But yeah,
first of all, Matt's so great, and his team's amazing to work with. And so when he first came to me and said, "Hey, I think we can do this," I thought, "Okay, let's test it. Let's make sure we're testing it really well." And so we did. We did a match market test. So it was a very clean test. But instead of the way I've explained it to my team is instead of going out and saying, "Hey, Bob just purchased. Here's Bob. Go find more Bobs," which is what most people do.
Right.
We, with Bonsai's help, came in and said, "Well, here's Bob. Bob lives in DC. Bob's been to your site 5 times already, and Bob kind of looks like Greg, and Greg is a longtime customer."
Right.
And so instead of sending thousands of pieces of data back to Google, we're now sending hundreds of thousands, and in some months, millions of pieces of data back into Google, and that's where we got our return. And it was cheaper, and we were able to go far and wide with our non-brand that we weren't going before, because we knew where to go.